What's up, y'all? Ryan from Oakland Ghost, and if you're the type of person that dabbles a little bit in modular, semi-modular, analog, synths, that sort of thing, then you know that they typically don't have a patch save feature. And once I unpatch this, that sound's lost to the ether. And, that's a stumbling block for a lot of people. But for me, it's actually a feature, not a bug in my setup. I tend to sound design and create sounds that are specific to the song at the time and not necessarily something that I want to come back to. But occasionally, you stumble on a sound that you're just like, man, that's really cool. I don't know that I'm ever going to want to come back to this one, but it's really cool, and I just want to document it for posterity. And the only way you could save patches in this world is you either take a picture or you make a video like we're doing here, or you write down what all your settings on your various knobs and patch points are. But yeah, I just think this patch on the Taiga that I got here came out really unique and really beautiful. If you've watched my channel before, you know I kind of have this love-hate relationship with the Taiga. I always think I'm going to sell it, and then I give myself a week to play with it and inevitably come up with a sound that I can't get anywhere on these other synths, and it always surprises me. I always find something weird, and this is definitely a case of that. So I wanted to share it with you. So I'm just going to play the patch real quick, and then we'll break it down, and I'll tell you, how I put it together, how I patched it up to get this weird sound. All right, here we go. Check it out. All right. So there's my patch. Now, actually, here, let me play it with effects too, because when I run it through the effect I have on the Zoya, it just adds that little bit extra. So let me pop that on real quick. And this is just kind of a weird reverb that I have, looper. Anyway, there you go. So yeah, it's kind of, I use it as kind of a pad, and it just fills out the atmosphere of this song. Actually, the song started with this because, like I mentioned before, I got in my head that I might want to sell the Taiga again. I never do. I always go, you get 1 week, play with it and really dig around, and if you still hate it or you don't feel it, then get rid of it. And I always find something like this that's really cool. And this actually kicked off a whole new song. And the way I started about it, I'm using a lot of randomness and sample and hold and stuff like that to modulate a lot of weird stuff. So, obviously the first two oscillators are playing the main melody. So if I turn this guy down and we run it again, that's the basic pad. Oh, I got I'm going to kill the Zoya for that. So that's the main pad sound. And what's happening here, this one, the first oscillator is playing an octave higher than the second oscillator. And I'm using kind of a warped triangle that's like a combination between a sawtooth. It's kind of a combination between a sawtooth and a pulse wave. And then I'm using the wave folder to kind of get some metallic-y sound to it. Here we can listen to just that one. And then the way that I'm kind of modulating it is that I'm actually using the built-in pseudo-random noise generator, pseudo-random pattern generator. I'm using that to the shape, and that's giving it that kind of bubbliness as it's kind of turning this knob for me, basically. Now, obviously, because they're pads, as far as the ADSRs are concerned, I've got, the attack is just cranked. Sustain's really low. I'm sequencing it with a deluge. And the release, this looks like it's right in the middle, and it is, but the release times on these envelopes are notoriously very long. long. So if I were to kill it, you'd hear how long this just keeps going. It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. So that's how I set up the first oscillator. For the second oscillator, it's basically the same deal. This is just an octave down. It's almost acting like a sub. And so this one, I'm using a combination between a pulse wave and a sine wave just to get a little more sub, just to get a little more bottom. And the way that I'm modulating the wave folder on this one is I'm actually using, what did I use on this one? Oh yeah, so this one's actually a clock synced LFO that I've clock divided. So it's going with the tempo of the song that's being driven from the, it's just turning this knob at a division of the clock. So those two together, we start getting some real stuff. Now when I play it live, I actually start with the third oscillator, which is the weirdest one. Check this out. I mean, that's just wackiness. And when you have it going through the Zoya especially, it just gets crazy. So I am using a little bit of the Bucket Brigade here. But the way that I created this sound is I'm using the square LFO to turn the LFO on this one. And then I'm using the sample and hold to manipulate the frequency modulation. So it's turning this guy and just getting all kinds of weird little mosquito noises. And this song was built on a bed of birds chirping and rain from a trip to Hawaii that I did recently. So this was the first sound I actually came up with because it kind of complemented the birds. But when you add them all together, it's just so beautiful. And again, it's so quintessentially Taiga. Like, I don't know, man. You cannot get this sound on any of my Moogs, on Nicks, it's just such a weird song. And that's one of the things I struggle with the Taiga. One of the reasons I find it intimidating and sometimes difficult is I found that in my experience working with outboard gear that I tend to be more drawn to that pretty kind of Moog sound. Just a more pure waveform sound. And this thing, because it incorporates some West Coast synthesis by wave folding and adding harmonics, it can get really metallic and kind of harsh sometimes. But in this case, man, and pretty much any case, whenever I'm layering it into a song, I come across a sound that I just can't get on any other gear. And I just thought this was beautiful, and I really wanted to share it with you. And when I play it, I also kind of work the filter myself. I am actually, the frequency is being driven by both ADSR1 is opening it up a little bit, and that you can see it's a different shape than the envelope that I'm using to control the gate. But I'm also using frequency 1, and instead of using the inboard LFO, I'm actually using the sequence. I'm using a sequence from the subharmonicon as voltage to turn this, but I tend to kind of open with it kind of low, and then I'll just give slight movement like that to the filter. Manually, just in places where I feel it. Using a low pass filter, and I've really cut a lot of that stuff up, although I am opening it quite a bit with the envelope. I just like to keep it kind of low and then just find places to open. Anyway, guys, I hope that was interesting. If it was, maybe consider subscribing. I post lots of synth content on all my different synths, and I just love synths, and I love sharing, and I love showing you how to get places. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you should hang around. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys next time. Ryan out.